have many documented episodes of this show where I have said, as far as I know, Epstein could be alive and living on his island. And now I do feel that Epstein is alive. I think he has been living on his island. And, you know, occasionally when he has to go to a city, he goes to Tel Aviv and walks around flanked by security. And I think now that they're so brazen, they don't even care that we know. They don't even care that we know. That's what this is saying. The fact that now, okay, so some of these files are released, people are talking about it, and yet now all of a sudden people are citing this guy that looks seemingly like Epstein in Tel Aviv. And I really think that this is the brazenness, like this cabal of people. They don't care that we know. They don't care that we know.
Well, according to Matt Murphy, is this the synagogue of Satan's island boy? Did he fake a suicide and rise again like the pedophile messiah? Spotted today in Tel Aviv, surrounded by an excessive amount of security. What a fake and gay time to be alive. It's not AI. Could they be throwing it in our faces? Now, if you zoom in, that kind of looks like... It looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but it also looks like Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Dean, no, that to me looks like Jeffrey Epstein because that is Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. First of all, the fact that this guy is walking around Tel Aviv with security detail, who is this then? Who is this that this guy needs security detail? Right? Like the odds that this is somebody else that looks exactly like Jeffrey Epstein that would need security detail.
David Hunter is
statistically, what are the odds?
Well, David Hunter is screaming that it's AI. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. I don't think... I am willing to believe anything is possible.
Absolutely. First of all, we know there was a gentleman that actually took a boat over to write off the shore at Jeffrey Epstein's island and was taking pictures. And there are people on the island. There's people there. There's people there. So to think that it's not possible that he's been there and been living there. And I said this a long time ago when we said, well, if he's alive, where is he? And I remember thinking, why wouldn't he just be on his own island?
Well, you have to
remember an island, that's where you'd be. I mean, like,
You also have to remember that even if he is dead, but he has this sort of stand-in who looks like him, and they're saying that he's alive, that creates, plausible deniability to those who actually did remove him. He's not dead. He's just away on vacation, like Paul Allen.
And here's the thing: even if this is AI, let's say it is AI, and that's not him, that doesn't change the fact that there is so many things wrong with all of this. And the key thing that has always made me think that he's not dead is that there's a kill switch. And if he were really dead, all of these things would have been already released.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I
remember saying this then. I feel like I said at the time when he was supposedly, when he was Epstein, I remember saying, if he were really dead, Epstein, if he were really dead, then we would be watching like 24-hour porn of the most disgusting people that we know. So that's why it's weird to me to think that, and somebody like that with that amount of information wouldn't not have a kill switch in place for their own safety. They just wouldn't. It also doesn't make sense that they would kill him but leave her. It makes more sense that, like, a lot of it's weird. All I'm saying is that we really don't know. The regular people, we don't know.
No, we don't. And I think that that's the problem with doing any form of political commentary if you are not somebody who is truly on the inside, like a Tucker Carlson, for example, who is definitely part of intelligence. Like, if you're not at that level, then there's a limit to anything that you're ever going to know. We can surmise what is in front of us and what is likely. As far as I can tell, as far as Epstein is concerned, I can't really say one way or the other whether he's dead or alive. I can't. But that's kind of a problem because they want you to believe that he is dead. And as far as I can tell, there's way too many variables to take into consideration to definitively say that he is. And that is what should truly terrify people, because as you've pointed out, they don't care if we know or not. I think that in itself is probably the bigger issue. They don't care.
Well, why should they? We know what we now know, and nobody's getting in any trouble. Nobody's getting in trouble. Nary an investigation, and yet we know what we know. So why wouldn't they feel just completely brazen? Like I would. Shit, let your freak flag fly there, man. You obviously there's not going to be any accountability. As far as I'm concerned, Epstein could make a video saying, hey, yo, I'm down here in pedophilia land over here with all the rest of the people, like, you know, that Quentin Tarantino and Brett Ratner and all the other pedos that go live over there.
Well, from the whispers of truth, here is how Mossad's greatest spy controlled the elites. By the way, there is an article in the New York Times suggesting that there is no way that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. That's how brazen they're getting now, beyond the scope. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just some rich creep who made shady deals. He was connected. His closest partner was Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, a billionaire media mogul later exposed as a Mossad spy. Epstein wasn't self-made. He was recruited, groomed, and backed by intelligence from the very beginning. Also Les Wexner. Epstein and Maxwell built a honey trap network. Mansions wired with cameras, private island that doubled as a surveillance hub, politicians, bankers, royals, and even scientists. Hello, Stephen Hawking. They were lured and compromised and recorded. This wasn't entertainment. It was blackmail at the highest level. Once trapped, the elites were owned. For years, Epstein got away with everything. Arrests dropped, cases sealed. His friends included presidents and billionaires. Why? Because his protection came straight from intelligence agencies. Exposing Epstein would expose the control system behind him. The judges, the prosecutors, the politicians, they were all part of the same system. Robert Maxwell didn't just run newspapers. He ran information from Mossad. His daughter Ghislaine carried on his work through Epstein. She supplied the company. He handled the logistics. And together, they gathered compromat? Is that how you say it? Compromat.
I don't know. Compromat. I guess just compromising materials that's what that word means. Compromising materials. Compromat, I guess.
On the world's most powerful figures, the Maxwell's family spy legacy lives on through the Epstein operation. They are the ones who are actually ruling the world, but they let you think it's the politicians, all while doing dirty things behind the scenes. No one is supposed to know, controlling everyone whom they came in contact. If you think you're an exception to the control, you're not. Well, that's for sure. The elites have secret societies that control the entire world, hiding things from you that should have been brought to the light years ago. Which is why the Awakening Compass exposes exactly what's going on in this world. If you want to get an unfiltered view of the world, get your copy from the link in the bio. Of course, they're always selling their own thing. But at the end of the day, do we have an elitist network that does clandestine operations, and many of it through sex crimes? Of course. You'd be a fool not to think otherwise. The problem is that they've gotten away with it for so long, it has been treated as, I guess what you would say, some degree of normalcy. And that this type of behavior, which has been run under our noses for so long, and no one even thought to question it. You know, have we taken it to such an extent that people are just not going to rebel? They're just going to take it at face value. The Deputy Attorney General says there will be no additional prosecutions for any of these crimes. Any of them. And there's millions of documents that still haven't been reviewed. Eating baby parts. No, we can't prosecute that. It's out of the statute of limitation. They will come up with anything and everything to try to satirize this to the extent that, yeah, how do you not look at this and laugh?
Well, it's absurd. We're ridiculous. This is why I feel like I'm in like a movie, like a Truman Show. This does not seem real. But it is very clear to me that we are a rogue, lawless nation. And it is only natural to have that lawlessness and that type of behavior at home when you are that. So we don't abide by laws. We don't abide by international laws. We don't abide by our own laws. We don't abide by laws. We don't I just, and it really has to make people wonder, like, why are we all doing that? Which brings us back to the policing thing, which is that are police there to regulate what kind of crimes? What kind of crimes are they there for? Because they're not going after all these criminals. The most criminal people in our country, responsible for the most harm to the most people. And those people don't get charged with anything. They could do whatever they want. So, yeah, I'd say we're pretty lawless.